Hey guys, so now we're on lesson 2. In lesson 1 we saw how to install the QGIS software. Today I'm just going from the fact that you've got QGIS installed. We're going to start off by looking at the QGIS web services. So what the web services allows you to do is query different databases that are online for objects that could be useful in that area, and you can download. So for example, objects could be the center of road lines, rivers, hot water springs, topographic maps. In our case, we were using the WMS and WMSTS services. That means Web Map Service and Web Map Tile Service. These are things that allow us to stream off the internet the tiles for the different objects. In particular, we're going to be using it for our topographic maps, and then we're going to have a look at how to import a digital elevation model, which is going to give us the height on 8-meter resolution in our case. Here I'll be using the New Zealand example just because I'm most familiar with it. I live in New Zealand, it's a great place for tramping, but the workflow should be similar depending on your home country. So let's go over to QGIS. Just open it up here. So in QGIS, we can see at the top here there's a little button here that says web. If we click on that, go to meta search and meta search again, and we see we've got no connections in here, no services are connected. If you just click add default services, it's actually really good, and it will go and add all of the default services for the countries that are available. In this case here we can see New Zealand's in here, and it's using the LINS data service. So this is one we'll be using later on. We can then search based off of where we are. So like say here I want to go and search in New Zealand. If we set this to the right locations, so you need to set it globally or set it to a map, but here our map's not of anything, so it's a bit useless. I'm pretty sure we should be able to search for words. Like if you want the topo 50 map, if I click this, I'm hoping I only get something back. So you can see here we've got a bunch of different objects that it's given me back. So it's saying, okay, here's a data set with the mine points on the topo 50 map, the saddle points, the runway polygons, the geobore points. So this is one way you can use for searching for your data. But personally, the New Zealand LINS data service is really good, and it's just easier just to jump over to that and do things manually. So first things first is you need to go to LINS data service, and you have to create an account. So the account's free. There's no problems with that. You just got to click sign in. You have to create a coordinates ID if you don't have one, so we can just click sign up here, and you enter your email address, and then it'll send you through the relevant information for this. I've already got one, so I'm going to be using my pre-done coordinates ID, and I'm already signed in to the data service. So I'm going to shut this tab down here. So on here we can see, I've already started doing some work here quickly. We can see that we've got a map of New Zealand. We got a map of New Zealand. And today I'm going to be demonstrating a walk I did recently in the Kaurangi National Park, which is up here in the north of the South Island. So I'm just going to zoom in roughly to around where I want to go, just around here. So we want two bits of data from here. We want the topographic map, so that's going to give me the topo map for the whole of New Zealand, and we also want the digital elevation model. So the digital elevation model gives us the elevation at each point. So I can write in up the top here, as you can see I've already written it in the search bar here, digital elevation model, and if I click search, it's going to give me everything I want here. So I can see here there's the New Zealand 8-meter digital elevation model. If you look, there are more precise ones. So for example here is LiDAR, so that's using laser point dots to get a 1-meter resolution, but an 8-meter resolution will be fine for our needs, and it works everywhere in New Zealand. So if I click this little plus sign, it's going to add that layer to my map here so I can see what it's like. And if I want to download the whole of New Zealand, that's going to be 18 gigabytes, which is probably a bit much. I don't need all of that locally. There's this little tool here for cropping, so I'm just going to select the region of interest for me. So I want a box crop, and I'm just going to draw over the region of the Kaurangi National Park. Once I've done that, it tells me here it's going to be 436 megabytes. That's maybe still a tad big. I might make that just a bit smaller. Just zoom in a bit more, where I want it. Let's have a look how big this is going to be. 197. So this is more reasonable. It's going to download quite quickly. So we're going to click download or order. This is the format, the projection we want it in. As long as we're aware of it and it comes in the file, it doesn't make too much difference. We just leave this as is. We just accept the terms, and we're going to create the download. So it's going to be creating here the download for us. I'm just going to wait 2 or 3 minutes while it prepares that, and then I can click download, and we'll get that in a minute. Here we go. So it's just going to come through. So what this is doing is on their server, it's packaging up the little parts that we need and putting it into a zip file for us that we'll be able to download and have all the zips together afterwards. Come on, nearly there. So in the next part, what we're going to do is we're going to look for the New Zealand topographic maps. We're going to use the topo 50 maps rather than 250, just because they're a bit more precise. So you see it's created a download for us. We just click that button. It's going to ask me where I want to download it, so I'm just going to download it on my desktop for the moment and just save that. So we can see here it's set off the download. So the next step is, like I said, is I want to do my topographic maps. So in here I'm going to type topo 50. I found in general if I write topo with the space 50, it doesn't come up with the maps because everything's based off the topo 50 maps. But if I write that, it comes up nicely. We can see it here, so I can click on this object. If I want to go and see it on the right over here, I can remove my elevation model over there, and I can click plus, and I can see it's loaded in the topographic map of New Zealand for us. And in the topographic maps, we've got this little thing here called services. So we need to create a default API key. So if you go to your user, you can create the API key. There should be one by default already created from you, I believe. It says here you can configure your API keys here. So how this works is no authentication. It just creates a one-off token, which is this part here. So this is unique to each person. So it says here the following URL provides a WMTS, so that was that web map tile service for this layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that, so Control C, there we go, right click, copy, and I'm going to go over to my QGIS over here, and I'm going to go there. So it says here WMTS, I've already got a lot installed, is what I do is I right click, I click new collection. I'm going to give it a name, so I'm going to write here topo maps 50 or topo NZ 50, and then I give it this URL. So I'm just going to paste in that URL I had a minute ago. No authentication, basic. We can leave all this as blank and click OK. So now I can see here I've got a new one that's appeared. This should be your first one if it's the first time doing this. It says here topo NZ50. If I click the little arrow, it's going to go and look at that database. So I can see I've got the database, and I can choose which projection system I want. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. If you remember, on the digital elevation model, it said 2193 as well, so we'll just stay consistent. But QGIS should take this into account. So we can see now we've got the map of New Zealand come in. And we want to zoom back into the Kaurangi area. Just going to zoom in down here. And we can see this is the topo 50 map. We can zoom right in and we can see how clear that gets. There we go. It looks lovely. That will come in a minute. There we go. So the second part of information we need in this tutorial is the digital elevation map. So if I just click on this click here, this is the layer, so we can see it goes on and off. So I'm going to need to go to my home, my desktop, and then we see all these files. So this is what just got downloaded off the internet, and there's a load of files in here. The only ones that we need to bring into the scene are what they call the TIFF files, which are these guys. So if I just click on them, I can drag them across and bring them into the scene. And here they are coming in. Probably need to zoom out a bit again now, so we've taken a bit bigger area. Um, but as we can see, we've got 4 different objects here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to merge all 4 of these objects to just have one thing to deal with. So to do that is these sort of like images. They're called rasters. So we click on raster. We want to merge them. So the merge operation is under miscellaneous. And we click merge here. So this brings up this dialog. So which input layers, so which images do we want to merge? So I'm going to say I want to merge the LH, LI, MH, MI, and I don't want to merge the topo maps layer because that's not what we're merging. I click OK. That's all good. That's all good. So here I'm just going to save it to a temporary file. I'll save it to a merged file. So I click here, save to file. So this means that we can use it again. Otherwise, it's just going to be temporary. We were on my desktop, so I'm just going to go desktop. I'll not go in anywhere. And I'm just going to write merged. There we go. Save that, and then we click run here. Sorry about that. So it's running the algorithm. It's joining all 4 of those objects together, and it's going to create one single output for me to deal with next. The reason that's important is when we're using the profile tool, it will need just one single raster. So we can see here the algorithm is finished. I can close this window, and if I get rid of all the other ones, I will now just have my one merged layer. My one merged layer here. So we've got the merged layer, and we should have my topo maps that I can see where we're going on top of it. So we're going to be coming in from here and down this way. This is all for this lesson. I hope you've managed to import your topographic map and the digital elevation model. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below, and I will post the links to the data lins in the description. Goodbye.